Welcome to my channel. This is the Diamond Chrysalis, aka Divested Diamonds. This is Divestment with Purpose, and you have arrived.
So I love this. Can you talk about why women seem to be much happier living single than men are?
So I was married for 20 years. During that time, I was married to someone who had it was a bad job. It was a basic job. Like, he did this job for years and years. Never had health care, never had, enough money for us to really live on. So of course I always worked. In between, we had 4 kids. And I had worked up till the day before I gave birth to pretty much all of them. During that time, during the 20 years, was the one that took care of the entire house, the cleaning, the cooking, the grocery shopping, the bills. I worked 2 jobs for most of the marriage, and I came home to somebody who wouldn't lift a finger to pick up anything in the house, even though there were times he wasn't working. I had worked myself to a point of being sick because for a while I was working 2 full-time jobs and sleeping 3 or 4 hours between each job, and would have to get up and take care of the kids, the house, and everything. It had reached a point where I was working for a while 12-hour days, but before I left for work, had to go grocery shopping, make an entire dinner, set it off to the side, and leave it so my kids would have something to eat while I was working, because Dad wouldn't feed them. He was the type of person that never in 20 years had ever cleaned a bathroom once. His idea of cleaning would be fixing maybe the room, would wash his own clothes, not touch any of the kids, wouldn't do dishes, never once scrubbed a toilet, and we had 2 bathrooms. Any of the major decisions or anything that was basically any responsibility, whether it be bills, finding a place to live, rent, it all fell on me. I'm the one that had to go out and find a job and work my ass off to finally get full time to pay for health insurance so I can have a surgery done for my son. In all those years, he did nothing but put me down. He complained. He was mean. He was lazy. And I put up with it for 20 years because I came from the generation that raised us as, women do this and that. And the fact that I had to work, it didn't matter. It never mattered. Nothing I did ever mattered, even though I contributed more than he ever did. Now, here I am, all these years later. We've been completely apart for years now, a few years. And I am much more relaxed. I have the freedom to do what I want. I'm not being judged for the things I like, for the things I do. I don't have to hide who I am anymore because he's not here to complain about it or put me down. I work, I pay bills, and I have 1 less baby to take care of. He was moody and emotional, and I can't do it anymore. And I'm much happier just being here with me and my kids. Granted, they're all grown, but it's easy now. My life has become peaceful without him.
Greetings and salutations, ladies. Thank you so much for joining me. Thanks for being here today. Please do me a favor and click the like button as you watch this video. Thank you. Thank you kindly. So we're continuing on from our last conversation in which I debunked some red pill relationship nonsense. In today's premiere, the conversation continues in a slightly different direction. We are going to be discussing the side effects, the consequences, if you will, of today's relationships and why there appears to be an increasing number of women choosing themselves and choosing peace over the headaches of modern day relationships. Are women finally understanding their worth? Are we understanding our purpose? Let's talk about it. The constant browbeating of women when it comes to relationships is simply because there are groups of men out there who don't have the emotional intelligence to be able to have successful relationships with women. Men are in competition when it comes to relationships because regardless of what they tell you, women are the prize. What these weak men are trying to do, however, is turn the tables around to make it so women are the ones chasing after them. It doesn't matter what these podcasters say. It's not a woman's place to chase after a man. Nature clearly tells us that men are the ones who initially need to prove themselves to women in order to be chosen. Now, marriage may be initiated by men, which means that a woman has to wait in order to be asked. But it's up to the woman to say whether or not she wishes to give that man a chance. Now, some people may argue and say, well, this is 2023. If a woman feels like proposing to a man, then so be it. I agree. If that's what she wants to do, by all means, knock yourself out. My thing is, I would never recommend or advise any woman to propose to a man because it comes off desperate. And in the end, he will show you just how desperate you were. But I digress. When it comes to marriage, modern men aren't getting married in record numbers because they can't afford to do so. They are simply not earning good money, therefore are unable to make the proper provisions for the so-called traditional wives that they claim to want so badly. There is so much bad relationship advice being dished out to women right now because some men are recognizing the desperation in some of you women. The sad thing is, these males are applying the so-called advice to all women without taking into account that there are so many women out there who do not care for that kind of lifestyle. I've said this before and I'll say it again. The more technologically advanced we get, the lonelier people will become. If you think that things are bad now, things are about to get worse. Before social media, we as people had the opportunity to have meaningful social gatherings, and it forced us all as humans to participate in life by talking to each other. We communicated with each other regularly on a personal level. Now, this is not to say that everything was hunky-dory and that incels didn't exist. They did. All kinds of people existed. Now, whether or not these incels blamed women for their lack of charm and inability to attract and talk to women is something we'll never know. But we do now, thanks to the internet and social media. Unfortunately, a lot of these males haven't had the right guidance in life. They have been spending far too much time in these echo chambers with other males who've had similar experiences, thus adding more fuel to their already existing toxicity. And if you think about it, where do angry, dysfunctional, disenfranchised, toxic males who aren't invited to society's popular table usually dump a lot of their unresolved trauma? Women. They dump their anger on women. What these males are trying to do is replicate the lives of their forefathers or other men who came before them without understanding that the world has changed. Shaming random women for not being like your great-grandmothers or grandmothers is asinine. When a woman chooses not to partake in your delusions, all of a sudden she's bitter, old, hit the wall, or damaged goods. The only quote-unquote damaged goods I see here are males who are barely breastfed as babies, having mommy and daddy issues while projecting their insufficiencies towards women, hating or trying to manipulate women to bend to your will simply because you can't take rejection is a major character flaw, and one that must be addressed at that. Now, let me just share a little something with you ladies. I am an introvert, and I have what they call an INFJ personality. You can look that up. There are plenty of videos about it. But I also have the ability to be extroverted too. My default setting, however, is introversion. I do enjoy and prefer peace, quiet, and solitude. Those who share my traits are happier on their own, but occasionally do not mind being with others. Now, this doesn't mean that we hate other people. We just prefer to be on our own majority of the time. You see, there's a difference between being lonely and choosing to be alone. When it comes to relationships, my outlook is that of indifference, right? I'm okay being single, I'm okay being in a relationship, and I'm okay being married, all of which I've experienced. One thing I've come to learn about life is that when it comes to happiness, it's your sole responsibility to make sure that you're happy. Other people can only add to what you've already got. I make the rules and I make the choice for the direction in which I would like my life to go. And I wake up every single day choosing to be happy. Now, is life perfect? Absolutely not. You have to choose yourself every single time. A lot of these males are angry because their life circumstances have pushed them into a position where they have to be alone. Hence their frustration. And what they don't seem to understand, or perhaps refuse to understand, is that women are not a monolith. And I do realize that there are quite a few of you who've mentioned to me that you feel as though you don't fit into certain societal norms. And I get that. I absolutely understand that. It's perfectly fine to positively embrace your uniqueness. You don't have to live your life according to other people's expectations. It's up to you to create a path that's comfortable and suitable for you. You must never allow society or other people to dictate what makes you happy. Only you can determine that. The world has become a very harsh place to live. Superficiality, braggadociousness, and pretense have become the order of the day, and there are certain pockets of the population who are realizing this is not really what they want. They wish that life was different, and that is why you have a lot of individuals popping depression and anxiety pills just to cope, because they are overwhelmed by the way that the world is operating. Red pill content has found a niche in trying to reinforce old-fashioned relationship standards and repackaging that as the must-have product for women. These males want to hold women hostage to outdated marriage practices by telling women to change, while they themselves remain the same and benefit from these unions that don't benefit women. What this does is push down the self-esteem of a lot of these women. The constant scrutiny doesn't help. There are far too many people running schemes and scams by feeding off of the insecurities of women, thus putting the fear of missing out in women's heads. As an INFJ personality type, I get to choose what I find relevant to me and my life. I've never, nor will I ever, live life according to what society wants me to do. And I totally understand that we're not a monolith, but a lot of women could certainly benefit by putting themselves first and quit listening to these dusty podcasters. Kevin Kittenhill Samuels made a name for himself, degrading and devaluing the desperate Black women who called into his show, despite the fact that he had no proper experience or qualifications to speak on relationships himself. He had failed at marriage not once but twice. But because of his male privilege and the fact that majority of his audience, Black women, hold marriage to such an idealistic standard, he made money hand over fist because of it. He, like most of the red pill, tapped into the fears and insecurities of certain women who attach their value to a man. This notion that you have to rush through life to secure yourself a man before you hit the wall is fear-mongering 101. Now, do women have a biological clock? Sure. Every adult woman with half a brain already knows that. Do we need reminders and shaming tactics from men? No, we don't. Indeed, after the age of 35, the number of viable eggs in relation to your reproduction begin to decrease. So does that mean that it's impossible for a woman to have children after this age? Absolutely not. This obsession with women's wombs is yet another controlling tactic that society and the patriarchy uses to keep women in check. My issue when it comes to this conversation is the assumption that just because you're a woman, just because you're female, your duty and obligation should be towards marriage and having children. And we all know that's bollocks. These males have been threatening women with that for hundreds of years. They seem to believe that you're only valuable when attached to a man, and that your value appreciates when you follow his lead. What exactly does that sound like? A load of shit, if you ask me. You might as well be a child from back in the day if you can be seen or heard. I've actually heard some of these male podcasters, and I believe it was Trash and Shit, who said that women are like children. And given Fuddle's background, aka Myron Gaines, you can understand why he would have that mindset towards women. It's the arrogance, ignorance, and audacity for me. Thank goodness that karma paid them a visit and put them in their place. As far as I'm concerned, that was well deserved. Listen, you get back exactly what you put out to the universe. The sad thing is, you have all these low self-esteem having women frequenting their channel. And look, we're just going to have to accept at this point that there are some women out there who can be saved. One thing women need to understand is that the ways of most of these males hasn't changed at all. Males are predatory by nature. They claim that you hit the wall between the ages of 25 and 30, right? Now, how old are you supposed to be when you get married and start having children? Listen carefully to what they're asking women, or shall I say girls, to do. How do you out yourself as a predator without calling yourself one? Let's take a look at Exhibit A.
What's your age?
I'm 18.
Now we're talking. Now we're actually in the ballpark.
Wait, how old are you?
Don't worry about it, you know.
No, that's not fair.
Okay, well, I just turned 29, but I love teenagers.
No boundaries, no morals, and no self-respect. If given a chance, a lot of males would behave exactly that way. Apparently, they can take their time to do whatever they want, but want you to rush through life. Get a man, because if you don't, your value diminishes and you're useless as a woman. Here's what they would never advertise to you, because majority of them are useless dimwits who know nothing about women in the first place. Here's a little hidden fact that most women come to realize as they get older. I mean, if you know, you know. Ladies, a woman's sex drive appreciates with age, while a man's depreciates. The older a woman gets, the more she wants to explore her sexual options, because during those childbearing years, most women, not all, do not enjoy sex because of the clinical aspect of it. Their focus is to have children. And while these males get to enjoy themselves, most women don't. Listen, if you've ever had any real conversations with other women, they'll tell you this. During that time, all they want is for it to end. So what normally happens is they pretend to be having a good time when really what they mean to say is, hurry up and get off of me. Oh my gosh. Listen, when it comes to most intimate issues, most women are willing to lie or suppress how they feel to spare the man's feelings. Plus, let's not forget that a lot of these men suck when it comes to the bedroom. No pun intended. But anyway, only a handful of women ever reach a climax. And the reason? It's quite simple, really. A lot of men are lazy lays and don't know what the heck they're doing. For most males, it's all about getting their rocks off and not pleasing you. Majority of women lie when it comes to orgasms, or lack thereof. For most women, and married women especially, love and respect are what shields them from telling the truth on how sucky their sex life is in these relationships. Women are more inclined to pretend that their sex life is great by boosting their man's ego when, in reality, a lot of it is like watching paint dry. Even in regular relationships, a woman's emotional attachment to a man will forgive bad sex because of the love they have for that man. According to this study I found on pleasurebetter.com, it's fairly obvious that when it comes to sexual activity, men benefit more than women do from pokey. An astounding 81.6% of women do not climax from intercourse alone without additional clit stimulation. Only 18.4% of women report that intercourse alone is sufficient to climax. Now listen to this. 95% of heterosexual men usually or always climax during partnered sexual activity compared to 65% of heterosexual women. 5 to 10% of women have never climaxed, though many of these women will later in life. I mean, menopause is a thing. No one's denying that. However, a lot of these men and society at large has used that against women to make them believe that they have nothing to look forward to when it comes to that part of their lives as they get older, and it's simply not true. If you do experience dryness during that part of your life, see your gynecologist. There are so many remedies out there for older women. The funny thing is, a lot of these males walk away thinking that they did something when really, if truth be told, it's really heartbreaking for them. They really don't want to hear the truth. And if they were so clued up, they wouldn't be bragging about it to their friends. So when I hear statements such as, men get better with age or they appreciate with time, it really makes me crack the hell up. Remember, the average age for a man when it comes to his maturity is 43. We as women have an 11-year head start at 32. It's actually quite hilarious when they sit on the internet or talk to their friends about how wonderful they are in the bedroom. But because they love showing off to other men, embellishment is something they do a lot. And please don't get it twisted. Men are the biggest gossips, not women. They talk so much about such things with other men. Here's the thing. Very few men and women out there understand each other, and that is why we will always be in this predicament. Majority of men think that they know what women want, when in actuality, they have absolutely no clue. Do they care? We're actually increasingly seeing that most men do not care about women. Women, on the other hand, try to bend themselves into pretzels, conforming to what men want, to no avail. Men's demands are endless because every time they fail, women are expected to fill in the blanks. And this is why they tend to use marriage and children to measure the value of a woman without actually realizing that there are women out there who are happy without either of those things. What is wrong with being single?
I would love a relationship that makes my life better than it is. I have no interest in being in a relationship to be in a relationship. Mm-hmm. The truth is that, I'm a rare breed, so, there might not be a match that's a rare breed for a while.
Kevin Samuels thought he'd cracked the code to humanity when he said, "You will die alone." Again, what is wrong with being single? What is wrong with dying alone?
They don't have to put any effort in if you need them. If you need a man around, they...
Okay, no, but can we talk about it? Because the way these males are scrambling now that women don't need them is just hilarious to watch. For decades, males have been used to only having to provide financially and externally to be needed and valued in society. For decades, males have gotten away with only having to provide a roof over your head, food on the table, and paying these bills to be viewed and deemed as valuable in a relationship. And baby, at this point, that is no longer enough, and these males are scrambling. They have gotten away with being devoid of emotions. They've gotten away with being couch potatoes as the mother and the wives cook and clean and take care of the house and the kids and the family. So essentially, we're watching some of the first generations of males actually have to do and be better. So ladies who date males, continue to not need them and do not take your foots off their necks, okay?
You see, when we bring up cases of men and women dying alone, it's not the women who are at risk. Actually, men are the ones who end up dying alone because they spend most of their existence burning bridges and isolating themselves from loved ones.
Specifically older black men. Let's say 50 and over. Let's say 50 and over. Okay? We dying alone. All alone in these nursing homes and in these facilities where the only people we see are these nurses. The women got people coming to see them, or they're not even in there. Their families taking care of them. 2 reasons that's going on. And this is real. Talk to anybody in the medical field or anybody that works with elders. This is real. Men dying lonely. Not just alone, lonely. 2 reasons. You was a piss poor father. A piss poor father. Now your children don't give a fuck. Reason number 2. You ain't never want to settle down. Just bouncing around, hitting all the ass you can. Hey, man. Is that me? What the fuck?
At this point, we are all familiar with hospice care wives. These males don't take care of themselves. Their perpetual Peter Pan syndrome is exactly what leads them here. Once they get into their 50s, they're broke, lonely, and alone, and looking for women, preferably younger women, to take care of them, to change their diapers, because a lot of them are in poor health.
So personally, I haven't seen a lot of this. I haven't seen a lot of fathers who've abandoned their daughters, then asking those daughters to have children. What I have seen are 2 varieties of deadbeat. The first who abandoned his children, and then as he grows older, he circles back, usually to one of the daughters that he abandoned, saying that he wants to make up for lost time in an effort to get her to take care of him. Or if she already has children, using her children as an in and a relationship with his grandkids as an in to get his daughter to take care of him. And that daughter would be called the hospice care daughter. The second variety is a man who's run through a bunch of women in his life, mistreated them, either has a bunch of ex-wives or never married because he never really respected women. And then as he grows older and starts getting sickly, he runs to the first available woman, bonus points if she's a nurse, and wipes her up as quickly as possible. And we call that the hospice care wife. It's really interesting how men who couldn't be bothered to raise their children all of a sudden want to make up for lost time or want to be grandfathers as soon as they become elderly and sick. Or the men who said that marriage was just a scam and that they were never going to settle down want to become husbands as soon as they become elderly and sick. And the sad part is there are women falling for this every single day. Women in their 20s, 30s, 40s even, having such severe daddy issues that they fall for this, not understanding that they're being used and taken advantage of. Or women who are either very fragile off a breakup or a divorce or being widowed, that they think this is love and they rush into marriage with these men who really just need someone to wipe their butts for them and give them their meds on time. But ultimately, this is what the man in the first video I Stitch and men like him have a problem with. A lot of these men are making children with multiple women because they see that child as a thread that connects them to that woman. If you leave a man without having that man's children, even if you were married, once that divorce is clear, you're free as a bird. If you have a man's child, you will always be connected to him in some form or fashion for the rest of that child's life. And for some men, they use this as a means to either spin the block or try to engender sympathy from you as their child's father to get you to take care of them when they're down and out and they're low and they need help. Because we live in a society that tells us that no matter how badly a man treats you, if you do not help out the father of your children, you do not give him access to his children and therefore access to you, then you are a bad person and you're keeping him away from his children. And that's that emotional blackmail they're looking for to sink their hooks into you.
The Godfather died alone with a lady of the night, a woman that he had met the night before. When Kevin was quote-unquote giving advice to black women, he posited himself as someone with influence, someone high earning, when really his entire existence was nothing but smoke and mirrors. And, you've got to give it up to the Divine Mother. One moment, you're talking a lot of shit, and the next, well, you're getting your wings.
Red Bull gives you wings.
There are a lot of women, especially in today's climate, who would rather be alone than have to deal with all this dating nonsense. What a lot of you males don't understand is that your demands are too much. Your prerequisites to being a wife are ridiculous. And after a lot of consideration, there are plenty of women who feel as though they are so much happier and better off alone. They can handle not being in a relationship because it's not worth it anymore for a lot of women.
So I had left this in somebody's comment section. I forgot whose it was, but basically a man got mad at me because I didn't want to get married, even though he had no intentions of marrying me. This man struggled to give me the bare minimum, which is why I just stopped talking to him. I didn't have no sexual relations with this man, and I pulled back my energy and stopped talking to him because he couldn't do the basics. For some reason, he's one of those men that don't believe in taking women on dates. Like, he's one of those men that I've had to learn that he literally believes black women deserve nothing. Like, he literally looks at black women as less than. And as I got to talk to him more, I found out how he really felt. One time we had a disagreement and he had said that, what did he say? He had said that black women are the least desired. I'm like, we're the least desired, yet you are pursuing me. And I know that you've pursued other black women that we're mutual friends with. So what are you saying? Like, what are you saying that black women are the least desired, yet here you are desiring black women? And it hit me that it's all about control. It's literally about control. It's about control and them not being able to hang marriage over your head like a carrot. And because they can't hang marriage over my head, they get upset because I'm not going to let you waste years of my life because waiting for you to marry me or treat me right. I'm just going to cut you off. Simple as that. And plus, I don't want to be married, and I mean that.
And here's the kicker. Most males who preach about marriage have never been married before. So a lot of the shit that they keep saying is based on some delusional dream that may or may not come true. There are plenty of women who are tired of being used and finally realized they don't need a man. There's an increasing number of women coming to the realization that they've been chasing after something that society told them was important to them, when really existing through the eyes of society does not nourish individual needs. Living a cookie-cutter life does not benefit those who thrive in individuality. And then there are women out there who respect their peace to the point where marriage isn't an option for them. We are slowly seeing a shift where women who had initially wanted to get married are now tapping out and saying, you know what? No thanks. Again, if you had taken the time to understand women even a little bit, you would know that every woman doesn't need a man. Not that we ever did. If women understood their power, they would know that generally speaking, We don't need men. Want? Yes. Need? No. Men are the ones who are in need of being needed, and so they try to convince women that it's us who need them. Those are individual expectations. But because a lot of males operate from a place of insecurity and bruised ego, they think they can estimate the value of a woman's worth based on whether or not she has a husband and can bear children. That's a toxic and regressive mindset, and it's stupid. Listen, you can laugh at women all you want for being quote-unquote too old and for quote-unquote hitting the wall and not having a husband, but it doesn't change the fact that majority of you are losers with mommy issues. You need to be worrying more about yourselves and not trying to coerce women into what you think they need. I will ask again, what is wrong with being single?
Never met a man who has not had sex with another woman, even though he's been married, ever.
You've never met... Ladies, don't get married. Because what would be the point? You have men like this that say that they know men personally who openly and willingly cheat on the wife that they selected. And instead of him and the other man in that room encouraging men to be outstanding husbands, to change their actions, to uphold their vows, instead of encouraging men to be better, they rather just find a woman who's understanding of their infidelity. Men, males, because y'all are not men, y'all are males. Why do y'all dangle the carrot of marriage over women's head and then say that this is what we're signing up for? And then you're upset that we're not signing up for it. It's insanity. Go get help. All of y'all need it.
Being single is not an affliction. Matter of fact, it has a lot of benefits to a woman when it comes to getting her life together and priorities in order. Women who are single and child-free by choice are actually happier than most married women. Why? Because they have a lot less shit to take care of and worry about. And don't get me wrong, I'm pro-marriage, but I'm also pro-single life too. These societal norms that have been set forth for women might have been valid for the patriarchy at some point in time. But women are slowly waking up, and these standards and expectations are proving less valid as time goes on.
This is for my single ladies over the age of 40 who are child-free. The only thing holding you back from being truly happy is buying into this stigma that we are not successful or worthy in our society if we are not married or we don't have kids. And thank goodness that this idea that we are only successful as women if we are wives and mothers is dismantling. Along with this very patriarchal view that women over the age of 40 are just geriatric cat ladies, and also as if cat ladies are a bad thing. Cat ladies are fucking badass. Because let me tell you what is true. Statistically, single, unmarried, child-free women are the happiest and healthiest demographic in the world, for example. And these are just some reasons, as if you needed a study to let you know. Freedom and flexibility, self-care and mental health, financial independence without the financial burden of raising children. In this economy and the climate crisis, women can invest in their future, whether that's starting a business, buying a home, or saving for retirement. Community engagement is another benefit. Many child-free women I've worked with have found fulfillment in engaging with their communities. I'm an elder millennial, and I feel like our generation are the last generation to fully buy into this idea that you have to get married and have kids to be worthy in our society, because Gen Z is just totally divested from this idea. Just to summarize, we are all having a feminine awakening moment where we realize we have been duped, scammed, and brainwashed into thinking that our only definition of success is being a wife and a mother, and our only worthiness is stemmed from those two roles in society. And just on a personal note, this is all about honoring the multidimensionality of women, that we are more than just the roles that we were assigned by society, and to trust the timing of your own life.
The only thing that women have to do now is sit back and allow these men to talk. They keep revealing who they truly are every single time, and it's not good. There's an awakening going on with women that most men are still not understanding. Decent women are no longer moved by threats of not being married. You need women to have a fear of being single because holding the marriage card or being a player are the only things that define your worth. This is not about women's worth. It never was. This is about yours. This is about some of you males and your insecurities, your underlying issues with unresolved trauma, and the need to control who you perceive as the weaker sex. You can be single and happy. You can be single, child-free by choice, and still be happy. You can be married and happy. As long as you're married to the right person, as long as you have communication, compromise, patience, respect, and some level of tolerance. Women aren't a monolith. We never were. There's nothing wrong with being single or dying alone or living the rest of your life with cats or dogs. You red pill clowns need to give it up. Your movement is dying, and most of you will end up dying alone anyway, and you know it. When you say these things to women, it's more of a deflection and a projection than it actually is about the possibility of you caring about what happens to women. Your best bet for the future is having relationships with AI. And I really do hope that it works out for you, seeing as you've always wanted women to behave like Stepford wives. As women keep tapping into the divine or themselves and get to truly understand who they are, the less grip a lot of you will have on this chokehold. But listen, a few men have noticed the awakening, but it seems there's still a large majority of you who are in deep sleep. That's why you keep grasping at straws. Let's take a listen to the following.
It amazes me that men don't realize how stupid they sound.
The scary part is, he's not wrong. That's the mindset for a lot of men. That's how a lot of us were raised. See, we engineered a patriarchy that oppressed women so heavily that women had to rely on us for infrastructure and for everything. So basically, we made it to where we were the ones that kept the world going round. Not efficiently or effectively, but still, it was left to us. So we set up a system where we didn't have to be good people because you needed us. And we took advantage and manipulated people for that and outright abused people for that. And now that system is changing and women are showing they're every bit as capable and oftentimes even more capable than men. And that's a really scary change for a lot of guys because now being a provider isn't enough. It's not even necessary. Now we got to be good people too. And we haven't had to do that in thousands of years.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Guys, I need you to come in and listen. Women don't need you. Stop bitching. Stop bitching. They don't need you. They don't need me. They don't need a man anymore. Whew. Isn't that great to say? But they want you. They want you to hold your hand at the end of the day when they've had a shitty day and they want to take a walk and they just want you to listen. Don't try to fix it. Just listen to them. They want to sit at night and watch TV and hold your hand. They may not even want to talk. They just want to be in the moment with you. That's somebody you need to take and grab hold of and run with. Guys, I spent 20 years in my marriage thinking all I needed to do was provide for my wife. And don't get me wrong, I thought I was there for her, but I wasn't there the way she needed me. So next time around, trust me, I know that. Find a woman who wants you in their life. Find a woman who wants to spend their quality time with you. Find a woman, when she has free time, she wants to pick up the phone and text you. Find a woman in the morning, the first thing she wants to do is send you a message because you're the first thing on her mind. And when you can find that, you've found gold. Go out, do something great for someone, and have an amazing day.
To feminist women talking about how wonderful their life is because they don't have a husband, they don't have children.
Damn, Garth Brooks is wild and out.
So they're showing, oh, today I slept in, I went to the spa, I went to Belize.
The country Belize? Was the spa in Belize? Was it an afternoon flight? Is that why he slept in? That's quite a day.
They just talk about how nice their life is because they don't have the inconvenience of a husband and children.
Is this your sales pitch for marriage and family? Calling it an inconvenience is probably not the best choice of words.
And these are young women who have been perpetually lied to.
Whereas you're telling the truth. Getting married and having children will be a major inconvenience on their life.
And I'm just telling you, if they do a follow-up at 50, they're not going to be happy.
It looks like you will be. Which kind of tarnishes your concern for these young women of any genuineness.
They're going to be working late. They're going to be lonely. They're going to have 7 cats.
Women choosing to have cats over a husband. That's not something we should be taking any pride in, gentlemen.
And a couple of STDs.
You know, being married isn't immunity from STDs.
And then at Christmas, they're going to be all alone, very sad. What they're not going to post is, I'm winning.
Again, this is all a narrative he's concocted. If you want women to put more value on becoming a wife and a mother, it doesn't come through scare campaigns like this. It comes from becoming a man of value that can showcase and indicate to her that you possess what it takes to be a good husband and father, that she can count and depend on. At the core of feminism was to give women the choice. If she would rather have a career and cats than be married to you, that sounds like a you problem. And I don't believe for a second that this guy truly cares about the well-being of young women.
On that note, what are your thoughts on what's been discussed here today? Please leave your thoughts and comments down below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And remember, ladies, your worth is not determined by beta males sitting on podcasts spewing nonsense. It's not determined by other people and their insular views of you. You get to tell the world who you are and live life according to you. It's nobody's business that you're not married. It's nobody's business that you choose to be child-free and single. It's not every woman's dream or need to get married and have children. And that's okay. Don't feel bad or pressured to do anything against your will. The only hold that a lot of these miserable males have over you are bullying tactics. Emotional intelligence is something that a lot of women possess. Can't say the same for the majority of men. This is also why they are struggling to find relationships. It shouldn't be, nor is it your responsibility to rescue any man who hasn't done the work on himself. Your attention, your life, your body, and your womb must never be offered as charity to unworthy men. It's your life and you determine what your worth is. Stop feeding the monster. Thank you so much for watching. This is the Diamond Chrysalis. Divest like a butterfly, and I'll see you next time. Bye, diamonds.